And we are back. Thanks for staying with us. It's time for us to go through the front pages of the newspapers. And of course, with me is Mike Masiceno.
Yeah.
Must you always do that every single time? Yeah.
So let's.
All right. So yeah, quite interesting headlines on the front pages this morning. We'll be starting off with the Nation newspaper, making the headlines here. Speaker Ayedatiwa to send quit letter. And on the top of the papers here, we have President seeks $8.6 billion, 100 million euros loans to improve livelihood and fulfill a $100 billion pledge on climate change. Tinubu tell U.S. EU. And Emefiele yet to meet bail conditions back in prison. And Obaseki should have consulted me on successor, says Shaibu. And you can find more of that story on page 27 of the Nation newspaper. Mike, is there any story that you'd like to take?
Of course, people have been talking about the loans that the president asked for. And you have to understand that even the U.S. is owing. It's not, the loan is not the issue. It's what would be money be used for. That is where we start having issues. Taking a loan, I mean, the richest nations, they still borrow.
Yeah.
What are we using it for? Let's hope that we have a departure from having to use loans to fund lifestyle. Because from what they say here, livelihood, what is the loan to be used for?
But then, Mike,
President made something, I heard something yesterday where the president said that he's going to ensure that Nigeria gets 24 hours electricity. So imagine if a loan was taken to ensure that we have 24 hours electricity. Imagine what it would do to your business. Imagine what it would do to businesses. A lot of people have left this country just for that. So if it's for a cause like that, yes, we don't know yet, but hopefully it's not the word to use. We have to ensure that we can take care some and ensure that we hold our leaders accountable and that these loans are used to
for what they should be, what they've been taking for in the
those instances.
Let's not also forget that we're still owing. There's still a lot of loans that we're owing.
We are owing our bill.
Yeah. Close to, I can't remember the last figure, but they were running into trillions. Okay, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper, making the headlines here. After $3 billion crude deal, additional ones against resource-backed debts. Well, we're just talking about that. And at the bottom of the paper here, Jega asks lawmakers to proscribe cross-carpeting by politicians once INEC unbundled. And Tinubu seeks Senate validation for $8.6 billion, 100 million euros loans approved by Buhari government. And over 27 million kids driven into hunger, malnutrition by extreme weather. That's a pretty sad story there. And here, one more story. I'll just take one more story here. Subsidy removal has battered us with hardship. Pains, says pensioners. And, Mike, the 27 million kids driven into hunger, malnutrition by extreme weather, that's a pretty sad story. But we're hoping that the loans that the president is seeking from the U.S. would cater to this as well.
Yeah, for me, the major thing I want to pick out here is from the former INEC chairman, Professor Atairu Jega, who stated that we must prescribe cross-carpeting and unbundled dialect. In a lot of other countries, because of, you don't see cross-carpeting when people have different ideals and founding principles. So it's hard to see somebody who is, that, for instance, a Democrat and a Republican, they have entirely different ways of thinking of going around a particular problem. You could almost predict how a Republican would tackle a particular problem and how a Democrat would go about it. Yeah. But that doesn't, over here is just people who at one particular point, they like each other and they can form now we are hearing talk of, it happened before. I mean, that's how the APC was from. Now we're hearing talk of the opposition are calling for themselves to come together, to topple. As much as that happens, it is not the best way. For me, ideologies, what can we say is an ideology? And so, yes, if we go by this and we say that cross-carpeting, we can prescribe it. That means that we can say that it is illegal in a lot of ways to just jump into different
Some
people have gone 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Some people have gone 2-3 times back and forth.
Yeah, from one party to the next. Let's move over to the Nigerian Tribune and making the headlines here. Ayedatiwa Ondo Speaker reveals details of deal brokered by Tinubu. And you can find more of that story on page 2 and 13 of the paper. Here we have Ekiti government sues Chef Dami's pastor, demands 10 million naira damages. Okay.
Oh. I
Nice.
wish we could, maybe some of the commentators will talk about how much that girl has been bullied in
exactly.
a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Because she has cried out and she was arrested, according to the something. So hopefully this is, the point is that her human rights should not be trampled upon.
Yes.
And we should ensure that, look, that young girl, because there's a whole lot of mess around that story, you know. So hopefully this will ensure that the law will take its course, and whoever is doing is, trying to.
But this is the government.
Intimidate her.
This is the government.
Okay, so yes, I think it's an
this.
arm of a government, not like the state. It's probably an arm of prosecutionary arm of a government. For human rights and all of that, from what I read and all of that. So hopefully there's some reprieve given to that young lady for what
she's been through, yeah. Okay, and that's all we can take. There are quite a number of, there's still quite a few headlines there, so grab onto the papers this morning, and yeah, you can go through, some of what we've discussed then.